Joining us now is Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jenix.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. Happy new month.
Yeah.
It's my favorite month, I think. Good morning, Tundu Abiola. And don't ask me why.
I was about to. You saw that, right?
I did.
No, tell us, because you know the implications.
No ways. I cannot afford the complications, Rufai.
Your birthday is next month, OJ. So what's it about March?
Well,
I have to know.
It's a great month.
You're looking wonderful.
All righty. Thank you so much. So are you. Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. In the United States, 12 Russian diplomats were expelled on Monday at the United Nations over national security concerns. The U.S. mission to the United Nations described the Russian diplomats as intelligence operatives who had been engaging in espionage activities that are adverse to national security.
Take Russia out! Take Russia out!
While Ukrainians gathered outside the UN headquarters in New York to protest against the Russia-Ukraine war and to call for Russia to be removed from the United Nations. In Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky accused Russia's President Vladimir Putin of war crimes on Monday amid UN reports of 406 civilian casualties and at least 102 Ukrainians killed within 5 days of Russia's invasion, while over 520 refugees from Ukraine are currently in neighboring countries. While Russia's President Vladimir Putin called the West an empire of lies as he discussed the economy with top officials on Monday, following the imposition of sweeping sanctions against the country. Other sports, FIFA and UEFA suspended Russian clubs and national teams from all competitions following Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. The football governing bodies on Monday gave the sanction in a jointly released statement. Finally, under entertainment, attendees at the 2020 Screen Actors Guild Awards ceremony paid their respect to victims of the Russian-Ukraine war, including Oscar-winning actress Helen Mirren, who received a Lifetime Achievement Award, cementing her as the most SAG-decorated Lifetime winner in history.
Lifetime achievement. Lifetime achievement. Sounds so grand. I suppose I'm still alive, so by that measure I'm eligible. But honestly, any achievement that I've succeeded in is the result of my mantra, which is basically be on time and don't be an
Well, let's begin what's trending. Amid heightened tensions of the war in Ukraine and reported discrimination against Africans, including Nigerians, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyeama, announced on Monday that the federal government is ready to commence the evacuation of Nigerians from Ukraine on Wednesday. The minister made the announcement after meeting with the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, who said he's in talks with the chairman of Air Peace Airlines, Alan Oyama, who has shown commitment to evacuate Nigerians stranded in Ukraine. The Foreign Affairs Minister said there are about 8,000 Nigerians in Ukraine, and some of them have been received at the Nigerian embassy in Ukraine's neighboring nations, adding that Romania is going to be the hub where an estimated 1,000 Nigerians are ready set for evacuation. Other locations are Slovakia, Poland, and Hungary, while about 150 Nigerians who are students want to go through Russia. The minister also reiterated that the invasion of Ukraine came as a surprise because Russia had earlier said there were no plans to attack Ukraine, and that many Nigerians in Ukraine who are students did not want to leave Ukraine for Nigeria. Well, it's great that the federal government is making strides. I believe that you guys took a video or a report from Leila Johnson Salami about a student who was talking about the fact that they did not want to leave because they have issues. But who are we to blame here? Is it the parents, the students at this point? Because they are saying that majority of Nigerians in Ukraine are students. What should have been done? We know that the Americans evacuated their citizens, the British evacuated their citizens. 2 weeks before this whole invasion. So who would we blame at this point?
If we're talking about blame, I think the blame still rests on the government for not giving the proper advice. I think that one thing we can say, I've always been very clear that I don't drink that Kool-Aid of the West is an angel and Russia is the devil. No, it's a lot more nuanced than that. But one thing we cannot fault the West on in this situation is on their intelligence. The intelligence was impeccable.
Yes.
Where was Nigeria when everybody else was advising their citizens to leave? The people who got evacuated from Western countries were just a handful of diplomats, but everybody was told, find your way out. And some people chose not to, even from the Western countries, because they have ties to Ukraine for whatever reason. They chose not to leave, but they were at least given a fighting chance. They were told to leave. And when you do not give your citizens the proper advice, it's a problem. What quality of intelligence were they acting on? Were they thinking, were they listening to Putin? Why would you as a foreign minister say, because he did make some convincing points, and I'm glad he addressed the point, and I think he spoke well, but there's one unescapable issue of falling asleep at the wheel. How can any government today say Putin said he will not invade? Putin is a master dissembler, and worse, I could call him worse, but I'll restrain myself. He's economical with the truth. The fact of the matter is, it looks to me like they were listening to to Ukrainian citizens who also were telling people there's no cause to panic.
Yes.
But they cannot be relied on. They have been living under the specter of Russian invasion for years now. They've become inured to it. You know that thing you have on in cars, vehicles appear closer in a rearview mirror. That's what they were thinking, that, oh, it looks like it's going to happen, but we're all going to be okay. But you cannot listen to Ukrainians. Their view of it is warped. So the intelligence that we gave our own citizens was wrong, and that has to be acknowledged, unfortunately. Yeah. Now, the issue of people not wanting to leave is entirely up to them, but they should have been given a chance. Parents, if they had been told, we can now not say what would have happened. If Nigerian parents had heard that the Nigerian government is telling everybody to get out, even people who could not readily drum up money for a ticket could have quickly gone and borrowed. That's one of the beautiful things about Nigeria. Your family, your friends, your community will support you. Yeah. They could have done something if they were not told to just sort of relax. That should never have been an option, and that's the problem.
And the Speaker of the House of Representatives also made a point, which is Nigeria should always have an evacuation plan. I mean, this is coming just too late, I think.
I don't know why illogical defense is a favorite pastime in Nigeria. I don't know why people can't just come out and say, I could have done it better, I didn't do it better. I will take my learnings and let's move on, let's salvage the situation. I feel very inebriated by this constant defense. It feels like gaslighting. It feels like throwing a Molotov cocktail in my face and tell me, it's just bubbles. That's what it feels like. We screwed up. Let's not deceive ourselves. The intelligence was out there, everybody saw it. You saying, oh, we did not know Putin was going to invade, feels like drinking hemlock. Honestly, that's what it feels like to me. The intelligence reports were there. Putin is even 1 week behind schedule. Based on the intelligence, he was supposed to invade last week, Wednesday. And Putin did what? He took his troops, told them to turn out of the Ukrainian border. But prior to that time, he had invaded. In fact, I'll say this invasion is over a week old. Because while Putin did that, he sent, the separatist guys into Luhansk and Donetsk, and there were bombings in Luhansk and Donetsk. So if I have to track this war back, I say it started over a week ago. When those bombs went off in Luhansk and Donetsk, that was quiet for a while, and all of a sudden it started again. It is not partisanship. We're not here to berate anybody. Mr. Minister, you screwed up, take responsibility. Next question is, how can we move and evolve from this? Stop this excuse. It's not going to work. Stop peeing on our back and telling us it's raining. Stop it. Because now you're beginning to play on our intelligence here. How can we evacuate? How can we all come together? Next plan of action. Romania is a safe bet. It's easy to process people into Romania. Hungary is another safe bet. Easy. Poland, still a sticky situation. Talking to the airlines, fine. Apart from Air Peace and Air Max, and we get other airlines too. So I know when we are making one trip, I think an airline can carry about 200, so we know we're taking 600 out, so that 5, 6, 7 trips down the line, we'll take the thousands of people that want to come out of there. And we'll fix that problem once and for all. And going forward, the embassies and the Foreign Affairs Ministry need to be more proactive than reactive. We need to issue statements in time. Apart from that, even general well-being statements of Nigerians living in these countries is really important. But please, we all dropped the ball. Yeah. The ministry, Foreign Affairs, dropped the ball. The embassy dropped the ball. But they are also working hard at redeeming their image, which is a good one.
Yes, which is great. Well, you know, I was heartbroken over the weekend when I saw those videos, Dr. Abati, circulating of Africans being stuck at the border. We just received information about two people, obviously Africans, that died because of the weather condition while waiting outside. Really terrible situation.
Okay, let me start from where you started the story from, and it's as follows. One, I think it's a good thing that the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs is engaging the House of Representatives. You will recall that when the invasion occurred, the House of Representatives went ahead of even the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs to declare what is happening in Ukraine a matter of urgent public importance, as it was proposed in a motion that was proposed to that effect. And on that occasion, the House of Representatives, having made its own observations, resolved that the House Majority Leader and the Chairman of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs by Friday will go all the way to Ukraine to bring back Nigerian students. But Geoffrey was saying at the meeting with the Minister of Foreign Affairs that it was later they realized that the airport was no longer accessible. So at this same meeting, both Dogua and Ahmed, the other honorable member of House of Reps, they were at that meeting. But it's good to see the ministry talking to the House of Representatives and all of them trying to work together to solve the problem. The second issue to raise, of course, is that there were certain howlers coming from the Minister of Foreign Affairs. First, in terms of the numbers of Nigerians that are in Ukraine, we don't seem to know the exact figure. The minister in one breath said, oh, there are 8,000 Nigerians. Oh, there is, maybe 2,000 students. He wasn't quite sure. He was speculating. And I think this is part of the scandal of our foreign policy process, that we have Nigerians in different parts of the world. We don't know the exact number of Nigerians that are there. Nobody is sure. Statistics is part of our problem. So we can't plan properly, either in the face of conflict or in the face of development processes inside Nigeria. Two, he made a point that only US and UK evacuated their citizens and had plans, and that indeed, the invasion of Ukraine came to the Nigerian government as a surprise. Now that doesn't make sense. And I don't think it was a line that he should have repeated. And this is the whole point about intelligence. He was even commending the Nigerian embassy in Kiev, saying that, oh, they did very well. They kept assuring us that nothing will happen and that everything was under control. But that is not true. Countries like India already set up an outpost in Poland with their embassy to assist their citizens. Egypt, Morocco, they moved in. But Nigeria was here, relying on divine interpretations of existential circumstances and saying, oh, nothing will happen. Okay? That in itself is a comment on the quality, of operations that we have in our foreign policy process at this time. The third point that came up is that some Nigerians don't want to leave. Well, that should not be surprising. There are students in Sumy. There's a university in Sumy where you have many Nigerian students who are majorly medical students. Part of the reason that some Nigerians don't want to leave is because of, one, the weather. You just pointed out that, some persons died as a result of the weather condition. 2 degrees, yes. Right? And then, of course, the stress that they go through. And some of those universities, including the one in Sumy, have been providing food, facilities for these students who are hunkered down in shelter bases. And of course, there will be some Nigerians who will say, well, things may be bad here. There may be crisis here, but am I not better off staying in this war zone rather than coming home to Nigeria? Maybe they don't have the right papers. Maybe, there are other consular issues, but that's part of the problem. Number 4, the other issue to look at is that, during that interaction, there was so much talk about engaging Air Peace and Air Max, right? And the point was made that the president has made the necessary approvals for the evacuation. I think that's in order.
Yeah.
And Air Max and Air Peace, they should note that the president has released funds, because we were told that House of Reps also met with officials from Air Peace, officials from Air Max. So this is not supposed to be a Red Cross operation.
Very good.
For Air Peace and Air Max, because those airlines are running a business. And I hope that nobody will come to us later and say, the reason why Nigeria cannot go to Poland, where we're told we have about 250 persons waiting, or Romania, where we're told we have 1,000 persons waiting, or, the other countries where we have Slovenia, where we have 250, and one other country, Moldova, I think, where we have 250. I hope nobody will say that the funds were not released.
I hope not.
Because the problem here is always about release of funds. It takes the Ministry of Finance years to release money. They have not released the money for Edo 2020. They have not released money for Afro basketball for the Tigers.
No, but this
I hope nobody,
so sad if they
will disobey the president in this regard, because what we face is a national emergency. The final point that came out of that interaction is that families should also make efforts to rescue their people.
Yeah.
Because some people went to watch a World Cup in Russia the other year. They got stranded there, and they were saying that the Nigerian government should take them out. Now, why did they go there in the first place? So that point also came out of the conversation. And I think families too, whatever they can do to rescue their children, should move in, and not just say the Nigerian government. Because if the Nigerian government disappoints you, don't come around and say, oh, it was the Nigerian government that did not evacuate my child. Even some of us that are here too, we need evacuation.
Where are you going, Dr. Bati?
Well, I'm not talking about myself, but there are people inside Nigeria who also need evacuation. Okay?
Well, all right. On Monday, websites of several Russian media outlets were hacked, with their regular sites replaced by an anti-war message and calls to stop President Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Some Russian media have accused Anonymous, the amorphous online activist community that first grabbed global attention about a decade ago, of being responsible for the hack. The message is read: Dear citizens, we urge you to stop this madness. Do not send your sons and husbands to certain death. Putin is forcing us to lie and is putting us in danger. We have been isolated from the whole world. They have stopped buying oil and gas. In a few years, we'll be living like North Korea. What is it for? So that Putin can get into the history books. It's not our war. Let's stop him. Well, in another development, more than 400 Russian mercenaries have reportedly been flown in from Africa to assassinate Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. A private militia known as the Wanga Group allegedly has orders from Vladimir Putin to take out Zelensky and 23 other government figures to allow Moscow to take over its Eastern European neighbor. According to The Times, the army for hire, run by a close ally of Russian president, who is often dubbed as Putin's chef, was flown in 5 weeks ago and is being offered a huge sum for the mission. Rufai, quickly, before we take our final story.
I mean, two things. Russia is fighting a cyber warfare. They did that to Ukraine once the war started. Some Ukrainian websites were hit. Now Anonymous is doing it back to them.
Anonymous is responsible for all of those cyber attacks. They have come out to say that they are.
This is hacking for humanity.
Yes.
This is good hacking.
Yes.
So Putin too should have a bit of what he's been sending out, all right? I'm happy Anonymous is doing it. I just hope they can hold those websites for long and keep pushing this message to be able to counter the propaganda, because Putin is selling a lot of propaganda. On Russian TV stations, he's not been able to show war footage of what is happening in Ukraine.
Yeah.
He's just been showing footage from yesteryears or from the past that they were in the Luhansk and Donetsk region, because he knows he's not gathering momentum. I mean, this war is not going the way. In fact, I'm surprised. I thought Putin would have invaded Kiev by now, but he's already behind schedule. And secondly, I keep talking about the Wagner Group because it's a group that is operating in Africa. They just got new concessions to go into Mali. France left their Operation Barkhane in the Sahel region, across Mali and some other parts. And the Wagner group are going in there to fight jihadists and insurgents. So if Putin is taking this Wagner group members to go into Ukraine, there's going to be a fight to finish on the streets, because I think the rebuttal from the Ukrainian authorities is to set up a curfew and everybody stays in at a certain time while they have their own Ukrainian soldiers on the street to mop it up. But he's always had this target. In fact, I think there's a Nigerian pastor too that is very popular in Ukraine, Sunday Adalaja. He confirmed that he too was part of Putin's targets because he's close to the former mayor of Ukraine. He has got one of the biggest churches in Ukraine, and he's very politically exposed in Ukraine. So that's all part of Putin's plan to be able to take over. But I'm happy that intelligence is out there and the Ukrainians will deal with it. But most importantly, let's stop this war. People are dying. Right. The humanitarian crisis is something that people will never heal from in this century. People have not healed from the Second World War.
All right. We shall take our final story. The national leader of the All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in a video that is now making the rounds on social media, described himself as a youth. Tinubu made the comment at a recent gathering with his supporters to affirm that he has the energy to lead the country and is capable of saving Nigeria. Let's take a look.
Part of your master force. You be there, and next time I will be a youth, and I'm a youth.
Dr. Bati, over to you.
Okay, just a few comments. I mean, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu officially is said to be 69 years old.
Yes.
When he visited the Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́, His Royal Majesty Lamidi Adeyemi III, he told young people there that they should wait, and it would be their turn after he had been president of Nigeria. So people thought he was playing the age game. Only for him now to turn around and say, well, he's also one of the youths. So it's important to contextualize this. Yeah. So if the other day he was telling people that, wait your turn, it's not the time for young people yet, and then he has reversed himself, maybe perhaps because there is a group within the APC, the coalition of youths, putting pressure on him that he should support the idea of youth leaders in 2023, and also as chairman of the APC within the party. So the contradiction, yes, you can establish it, but I guess that at one level, he's trying to identify with young people, point one. Point two is that there's this popular balance that, youthfulness is a thing of the mind, okay? And that even if you are 90-something and you still feel like a young man, okay, you can make the claim. The third point is that in Nigeria, we have this not too young to run act, which young people fought for, and it became a law in 2018. So it's Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, also one of the young ones. Okay? So I understand where you are coming from. If a man is 69,
where am I coming from?
If a man is 69,
I mean, he describes himself as a youth.
And he says he's a young man. Okay, but under Section 131, in terms of age of qualification for the office, is qualified. However, the final thing that he will have in his defense, apart from the contradictions that I have pointed out, is the fact that in some other countries, you have old people. Mahmoud Abbas in the Palestinian territory is 86. Trump became president when he was already close to 70, and is now 75. President Biden is 78. It's not about age at the end of the day. This is the point I'm trying to make. It's about the age of the ideas of the people who want to lead Nigeria. Does he have the vision? Are his ideas fresh? Are they progressive? Is he capable? Is he healthy? These are the questions that I think many Nigerians would like to ask.
Very valid questions, right? Tundu Abiola?
Yes, and I think it's very important that the message is getting across loud and clear. Former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar recently, sort of referred to the youth question. You see Asiwaju Bola Tinubu referring to this youth question. So it's obvious that the youth demographic is the one whose support should be courted, should be secured, and the onus is on them to step forward, contest for position, and also come out in record numbers and vote.
Well said, Ms. Abiola. Thank you so much, you all, for a great analysis. That's all I have for you on What's Trending today. See you tomorrow.